guys. And hello to everyone watching on YouTube. Welcome to Wellness Coach. My name's Stefan Rivalli, a host here at Wellness Coach. I'm also a meditation teacher and content creator. And I'm joined today by Tony Saccardi. And we're going to talk about resilience. How are you, Tony?
I'm doing very good. Thanks, Stefan. How's everyone doing?
Yeah, let us know how you're doing, guys. Leave us questions, comments, hellos. Let us know where you're from. Let us know what's happening in your life in the chat box and the Q&A box. And raise your hand if you'd like to talk directly to Tony. Tap into his expertise with your lovely voice. We'll enable your mic, and you can just speak like it's a regular conversation. And just a note that this feature is not available if you're watching us on YouTube. You have to be watching us live on the app, which can be downloaded at the Google Play Store and the Apple App Store. All right, Tony, let's get resilient. Do you want to settle us into a practice today?
Yeah, let's settle ourselves, come to the present, be here together, and see what we can create together. So I'm inviting you right now to find a comfortable position. If you're sitting on a chair, have your feet flat on the floor. Keep your spine upright, relatively straight, but without force. It should be relaxed, comfortable, and you can let your hands rest on your lap. Take a short moment to adjust the position to make it stable, relaxed, and also alert and dignified. And then when you're ready, slowly, gently close your eyes and connect with your breathing. The simple, gentle movement of your breath, your belly and your chest rising up and falling down as you inhale and you exhale. And let go of what you don't need right now. Unnecessary tension in your body, checking your forehead, your eyebrows, softening all the little muscles around your eyes, your mouth, relaxing your jaw, dropping your shoulders if necessary, relaxing your upper back, lower back, creating a sense of letting go of any unnecessary tension in your body while maintaining a dignified and alert position. And letting go mentally. The past, the future, to-do list, worries, inner conversations and stories. Letting go of all that and settling into the present moment. Bringing your real self, your full self, your best self to this moment. Take a couple more breaths. And when you're ready on your own time, slowly, gently, open your eyes. Welcome back.
Thank you for that, Tony, and welcome to everyone just joining us. And hello back to you, Jennifer, and smiley face back to you, Ryan. Hi, guys. Look forward to your involvement today. So, resilience, Tony. What would you define resilience as, and what do we need it for? What do we need to be resilient to in our lives?
That's a big question. It may be different for different people. I would say that we need resilience when we're trying to create something. We're trying to do something that requires some strength, some perseverance. And because we're trying something, there is a chance that we will get some setbacks. And when we are in the situations when we have a setback, that's when we need resiliency. We don't give up, we continue.
All right. And Samira says hello. And it's been a long day today. So hopefully we'll give you some resilience to
Mhm.
keep trudging through the day, the week, the weekend, and all of the days going forward. So, I guess we often, seek challenges. We seek things that maybe stretch us a bit. And
Mhm.
I'd also like to maybe talk about, why it is we do that as well. Like, what's the value in even doing that? Because a lot of the times, when we're in it, we're just kind of like, why don't I just like retreat and like, you know, maybe bake and garden and live a simple life? Why do I keep pushing myself?
I think it's part of having a growth mindset. We want to challenge ourselves. We want to keep growing. We feel like we are not quite the finished article and there's more to learn from life. And that's a good place to be. But that also means making ourselves vulnerable. We won't learn something new unless we create a space inside. When we create that space inside, we have to let go. We have to make ourselves Does that resonate with you or anybody else?
Definitely, definitely. There's just a bit of a lag, so I didn't quite catch. I didn't know when you were exactly done talking, but I think we're back now. Sorry, guys. I think that was a bit glitchy there, and whatever connection slowed down there. So yes,
Mm.
it does, and very much so. And I find that every time I throw myself into a new challenge, it's not just like the joy of the challenge and the joy of competition, and like it's just all fun and growth. It's often going to involve shedding light on all the areas that need growth, and that's the vulnerability part that can get very uncomfortable.
Mhm.
So, how do we work with ourselves when we're challenging ourselves, in ways that challenge also our sense of ourselves too?
I think it helps to have a North Star. There is to have a compass to know that you're going in a certain direction. If you have that, no matter what happens to you, you can contemplate that direction. You look back at your North Star and you know that you're going that direction. And when you do that, you can summon your strength to keep going. And you know that you're doing that for a reason. A place where you don't want to be is to get to a place full of setbacks, of difficulties, where you have no idea why you're here. If you have no idea why you're there, then maybe you shouldn't be there. At least that's what your brain is thinking. So to have a sense of direction, to have to know what your core values are, and to live to honor those core values is very powerful in that sense, and really helps you with your resiliency.
And I guess the resilience comes in where we've kind of established our values. We've established the kind of life we want, the kind of person we want to be. But then life doesn't necessarily accommodate that very easily.
No, there is a challenge of life. People, life, everything. It's messy, it's complicated, and things happen all the time. It's unpredictable as well. But that's how we grow. Again, if we didn't have any obstacles, we would not grow. Look at someone who is training for a sport, like going to the Olympics, for example. They don't sit down on a chair doing nothing. They challenge themselves every day. They go and run, they go and swim, they go do all kinds of things that will challenge their body so they can get better and better. They also work on their mental, challenge themselves to be more focused so they can go faster. So if you have a growth mindset, you're like an athlete going to the Olympic. You're trying to get better and better at what you're doing.
Absolutely. And guys, let us know, like, what are some core values that come up for you? What do you want your life to look like? How do you want to live, day in and day out? And day in and day out is what I want to talk about here because, athletes that train simply for competition, simply to win the medals, it can be a miserable experience, with like fleeting moments of achievement, if there is achievement at all. But with this mindset, how do we also enjoy the process where every day we enjoy the practice and the rigor and everything and all the struggles, even without the promise of payoff?
I love to listen to the athletes after they won the medal or they failed to win the medal. And there are different types. Some people who are destroyed, disappointed, and totally disrupted by the fact that they didn't win. And some people say that was a great journey and I really enjoyed it. And I think that's where we want to be. We need to understand that it's a journey. And maybe we will not win, maybe we will not beat the competition, but it's our own personal journey inside on how we get better and better at what we like to do.
Yeah, and I think about George Leonard's book, Mastery, which is really, really concise look at the process mind of just he's a what is it, Aikido teacher,
Mm-hmm.
and he says it's just simply putting on my gi every day, the
Mm-hmm.
Aikido uniform, tying the belt.
Mm-hmm.
It's everything involved in it, and making the small refinements every day, and just observing myself as I evolve as a practitioner and refine myself. It's not about the winning or losing after a while. I guess in the beginning, we have an idea of what the payoffs can be. But like over time, the mindset can evolve into one where you're just enjoying being there. It's not about the payoffs anymore. So I guess my question is, how and what practices do you use to kind of convert our mindset to one that enjoys the process?
To one that enjoys the process, not to be attached to the result, not to identify with the result. It doesn't matter really to go from A to B and to reach B. You could reach a different place. It could be B minus, B plus, it could be C or D. It doesn't matter really. What matters is that you give your best on a daily basis. And I think if you can always do your best, then you become better and better. And that in itself is rewarding. And that in itself is the journey.
Yeah, definitely. And Samir's got a question here about definitely resilience oriented. How do I become silent in a noisy environment? And by silent, probably means peaceful. How do we maintain stability when life is going to knock us around a lot with all of its chaos and demand?
Yeah, so it's about going back inside and having the knowledge of who we are, having the knowledge of where we're going, and what's happening in that moment. So not trying to. Um, so two things that can happen to us, like we can get attached to something, we can cling to something, or we can have too much aversion to something and wanted that thing not to be there. But it's two sides of the same coin. And it's very important to be able to accept what's coming up in our path. And part of resiliency is to be able, no matter what comes up and it's on my path, I'm going to deal with it. I'm going to find the resources to deal with it. So when you face in a situation like this, where it's very noisy outside and you need some peace and quiet, you can always go inside and find that peace and quiet. There is a part of us that's always peaceful and always quiet, no matter where it is. And what I use, the technique I use is to connect with my body, feeling my feet on the floor, um, feeling the sensation of being inside my body, relaxing all the muscles in my body like we did at the beginning, connecting with my breath, and then connecting with my heart, which is the seat of who we really are, what we really stand for. And once we made that connection, then everything else around us is actually noise and kind of superfluous. We kind of like floating in that environment, and we can decide which course we want to take. We have the power of decision when we get to that state. So don't forget who you are and connect with yourself when you are in that situation.
And in terms of, knowing who we are and having this center to come back to, is that tied up in our core values and remaining kind of steadfastly connected to them?
I think it was Walt Whitman, he says in his poetry that the only logic at the end is the logic of the heart. It doesn't matter what we think or what other people think. What's going to drive us somewhere, what's going to take us somewhere is what we feel in our heart. So to get to that place connects you with your real values, with a real sense of self.
All right, we were talking about the heart in our pre-discussion before we went live here, but that was a bit of a different orientation. Now, I guess it sounds like we're talking a bit about an intuitive sense of knowing, and
Mhm.
it is that being connected to that is a really kind of key component of resiliency.
I think it's a key component, knowing what you stand for, what your core values are, having a sense of what is your compass, your North Star, like we were talking at the beginning, and also who are you? Who is the real self?
So it's not just like core values as an ideology necessarily, as like a collection of ideas in our head, even though I think that can probably be helpful
Mhm.
sometimes. It also is just a sense of in the moment, yes, no. And I don't even know why, just yes, no.
Yeah, it's kind of like, getting to the state where you have a role to play in life. It may be a big role, it may be a small role, it doesn't matter, but it's your role. How do you play it?
Hmm. And how have you, sort of in your own journey, seen your role evolve in your life? Do you have any stories you want to share about that, or maybe people you've worked with, kind of connecting them to their role?
I would say it's kind of like a roller coaster. There are times where I feel like I'm at the bottom of it, and I lose sense of what's my destiny, what's my role in life, who I really am, and things seem to be out of control. And there are times where I feel like I'm at the top. I have an overview of what's going on around me. I have a good sense of self, and now everything seems to be there for a reason. And I feel a lot more gratitude, a lot more happiness, because I know that I'm living exactly what I'm supposed to live in that moment.
All right. Angus has a hand up here for a question. Cara, our moderator, is just going to enable your mic and you can unmute and chat with us. Just take yourself off mute, Angus, if you can find the unmute button there.
Okay, I'm sorry. I was driving. Hello, everyone. So I had a quick question about how do you connect with your breathing and your heart? You may have answered it already, but I think I missed it. Where you can be at a state of peace. So how do you connect those two during your meditation?
Great question. Thank you for asking, Angus. So I think you mentioned you were driving. So if you're driving, please don't meditate while you're driving.
I can meditate while I drive because I'm an expert.
But make sure you pay attention to your surrounding. But to connect with your heart is actually not that difficult. Is to go for the sensation, and we can do that right now, everyone, while we are here together. See if you can do that connection. Whatever is happening right now, see if you can bring part of your attention to the center of your chest, and simply gathering the sensations there. Maybe you can feel your heart beating. Maybe you can feel your breath under your chest. Simply connecting with your heart at the center of your chest. The exact physical place is not important, but it's somewhere in that area. And feel the sensations there. And let feelings come to you. Don't go into your head. Don't go into thoughts and thinking and conversations. Stay with your heart and the feelings and the sensations. And see if you can get a sense of self. A powerful, courageous, meaningful sense of self. It is that simple. It's a very simple connection. Simply paying attention to that part of yourself, to let it come into being and maybe give you a sense of direction. But come back slowly, take your time. And if you want, I'd like to hear what you experienced. Did you experience something, nothing, any emotions, any feelings, any different sense of self between the heart and the brain? Stefan, what did you experience just now?
Well, for me, there's something much. I mean, it's less like pointed and obvious, but it's just something that feels a lot more rooted
Mm-hmm.
and a lot more grounded as well.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, it's less of a it's less likely to kind of spin into a fantasy. It's more like this is what's happening right now.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Yeah, the heart has no thoughts. There is no like thoughts going in circles, association. It's very, very direct. And it's one of the best ways to connect with yourself and also to connect with others.
Yeah, I think of it as like digital versus analog, you know. This will
Mhm.
actually like take the thermostat in the room, but
Mhm.
like, you know, it's not going to get hacked by like by and manipulated by
Yeah,
you know, by anything that can manipulate an electronic device, for
yeah,
example. It's just like it's just going to give you a raw reading, you know.
yeah. And apparently it's very powerful. Like today I was listening to some people who really, really are studying the heart and its effect on our life. And they were saying that the heart is the only organ that we have that is not totally under the control of the brain. And it also sends signals to the brain and can actually um, control the brain. So when we are connecting with the heart, we are sending signals to our brain that there is something more important than all the noise around us.
Definitely. And Barbara here says she feels more confidence
Mhm.
from that practice.
Yeah, to be more grounded, to be more rooted. I call that to be more of who we really are, to be closer to our real self.
Absolutely. And by the way, guys, I was just joking about being able to meditate while I drive because I'm an expert. Don't do that. I realize I need to explain that. Mindfulness while driving, not meditation.
Yeah,
Mindfulness.
thank you.
Um, but I wanted to talk about mindfulness because um, how is mindfulness and self observation a tool here? And how is I guess we've been talking about mindfulness the whole time, but what specific sort of mindful techniques and principles do you like to use to be able to connect us to more to our heart and our true, you know, our true north?
Yeah, so there are many different things you can do. One is any focus meditation will help you. Uh, Focus meditation, like the breathing meditation, body scan meditation, um, will help you to realize that more often than not, you are in your thoughts. And those thoughts can take you just about anywhere. And little of it is really anchored in reality. So to be able to be aware of that is very important. That will help you to notice at some times during the day that you went too far out there. Now you're stuck in your associations, in your thoughts, they create feelings and so on. And none of it is real. It's all based on supposition of what could happen in the future, assumptions about people, and so on. So in those times when you realize that, which is based on self-awareness and the previous work that you've done with meditation, you can center back, just like what we did, into your body, into your breath, into your heart, and get back to being grounded, to get back to being your real self. And from there, decide what's the best course of action. So mindfulness is really being able to let go of the automatic work, the default mode network in our brain that keeps going from one association to the next on automatic, and back to what's real, what's really happening in this moment, and how can I influence this moment.
All right, guys, we're a bit past 20 minutes now, but we can take a few more minutes if you want to sneak in any last questions here. Let us know, where do you need more resilience in your life? Or any other question you might want to ask us, throw that in the chat box or the Q&A box. And Tony, where do you need more resilience in your life right now?
I have my own path. If I feel like there's definitely something I want to achieve, sometimes it seems to be very clear to me what I'm trying to do and where I'm going. And sometimes, life being what it is, um, complicated, messy, sometimes unpredictable, I get thrown into a place where things are not so clear anymore. It's a little bit like surfing, like, 1 minute you're on top of the wave and everything is fine. And the next minute you are within the wave, trying to get back to the surface and breathing. And so resilience for me is like when I am not on the surfboard and I'm getting like tossed around by the wave, to know that I will get back on my feet. I will get back on that surfboard and go for the next wave. So resilience is believing that it's not permanent. Wherever I am now is not permanent, and I can go back there. And in my life, it plays into like what I'm trying to create for myself. I'm trying to create a place that's more into ikigai, which means I do what I love, I do what the world needs, and I can also get paid for it. So that's what I'm trying to achieve. Sometimes it's not obvious, but that's where I'm going.
That is a really cool principle to talk about. That could be its own discussion, actually. I'd love to do an
It
ikigai
could
talk.
be, yeah.
Yeah, cool. One more question here from Rachel. I need more resilience to other people's stress and dumping their negative energy on me. What
Oh, yeah.
what do you have for her here?
Yeah, so this is very important, and I totally experience what you're experiencing as well. And a lot of people also experience that. So we may be positive, we may be cheerful, and we go to the office, and suddenly the boss is in a bad mood. A few of the coworkers we work with are in the bad mood, and they try to share that with us. They may be gossiping, they may be telling us stories, and they want to share that negativity with us. It takes a lot of being present, being in that moment, to be able to reject that. You kind of create an invisible shield around you. And while you're listening, you don't let that in. You don't let that negativity come in. You can hear the words, you can see the person doing their facial expressions and movements and all that, but you don't take it in. You refuse to take it in. It's an art, it's something that we need to develop. But next time you're in that position, to have your feet on the ground, to feel your body, your breath, to hear that person, and to realize that you can create that shield. You can shield yourself from that negativity. And of course, that means also not participating in it, not adding your own thoughts about what's negative, not going into the gossiping and all that stuff. So it's kind of like knowing this is going to happen, so you know what's going to trigger it. You know when you're going to get into that situation, and being ready for it. And when it happens, take a deep breath, connect with your body, connect with your breath, and then refuse to take in the negativity.
Definitely empowering words there, and so useful to not kind of jump into the stormy waters, right? When someone brings the storm to you, you don't have to go swimming, I guess, right? You can remain stable. All right. Definitely great ground we covered today, guys. Thank you so much for your participation. And thank you, Tony, for so many valuable principles and observations. I guess I'll pass things over to you now if you'd like to close things out and send us off into the world with maybe another practice or some more guidance.
Yeah, and I'm hesitating between a practice or something was to say. And because of the last conversation we had, I'm gonna decide on a quote this time. So there is a quote from a story from the Buddha, actually. And someone was asking him, so and so is always, so negative, like we were talking about, and telling me bad things and so on and so on, and it's really affecting me. And so the Buddha told that person, okay, you see that vase over there? Bring it to me. And so the disciple goes and takes the vase and brings it to the Buddha, and is there, like, handing it to him. And the Buddha doesn't move. He doesn't take the vase. And he said, hey, this is kind of heavy. Can you take it from me, please? And Buddha said, no. And it says, what's the point of doing this? And he said, it's very simple. If you give me the vase and I don't take it, who does it belong to? And the same thing is true for negativity, insults, and everything else. You don't have to take it. You can leave it with whoever is offering it to you. It's your right.
Love it. Let them carry the weight, right?
Exactly. So thank you very much for being with us today. It was wonderful. I hope you have a great day today and a great weekend, and to see you soon. Namaste.